Hello everyone, I'm Nooper and Feelgood, and this is Hydroneer 2.0. I've been playing this game a lot lately, about 120 something hours in the last few weeks. Been answering a bunch of questions on the Steam forums, so I thought I'd throw a video together, give a little tour, and talk about some logic. Maybe that'd be helpful for everybody. Anyway, here we are at Icehelm. This is my Icehelm setup. I've got 24 T2 miners, 10 T1 miners, all running here. And those are all feeding into one T2 harvester. That harvester is running through a sorter network and into compressors and smelters, as you see. Runs quite smoothly. We'll go into a little more detail in a few minutes. And everything is running on some logic. We're trying to. And I'll talk about that a little more as well. Talk about filtration, and we'll close out by talking about a little bit of manufacturing. This is my first video. I don't do this. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not here for your likes. I don't care about your subscription. But if you find this useful and you think other Hydroneers would like it, please share it with them so they can benefit like you did. All right, let's get into this. So we'll come up here first and we'll take a look at the sorter network. All right, basic sorter network. It runs there, then it comes back, and it ends down here. This is my input. I run all my dirt through shredders to make sure the chunks are small. I run it through an aligner, and then I run it through a funnel above the harvester. This is pretty much critical for most success. I know a lot of people say it's very important, but I'll tell you, I've seen it hang up right here on the edge. And I honestly think that the logic clump hang-ups are more of an issue with the game trying to process so many items. And it doesn't really matter so much about how perfect your setup is. But it's still good to have a perfect setup, because there are other glitches. But for example, I don't use funnels here. Never really ever had any issue. I try to keep my item count as small as possible. Compress my gems frequently. Keep everything inside the smelter. I don't really make bars unless I need them. And everything runs really smoothly. I'm getting 60 FPS right now. I have it capped because I'm vertically syncing to my less than stellar monitor. Alright, the first logic setup we have here is the smelters. This is basic. It's purely manual. I have not automated it. I probably will someday. Essentially, it turns the belts off first so that your chunks don't go flying everywhere. Then you manually activate the smelters. That brings the bars down the belt. And this valves work on wires, if you did not know. Controls whether I'm doing all the smelters or just the first smelter, which is Cloudium. I generally just care about the Cloudium, and I can kind of pop that out without having to turn the belts off, but, you know, you gotta watch for it. We'll run the whole setup here just to show you how it works. Turn off the switch, the belts will stop. Turn on the switch, the bars will come out. Close the door. Make sure these doors are fully shut. That's been known to glitch out sometimes, and then you come back and there's chunks everywhere, and there you go. Turn the belts back on, and everybody's happy. Always check to make sure nothing went wrong, and we're back. I don't care about that, so we'll throw it right back in the oven. Usually only care about Cloudium. And we got 15,000. We're doing okay. We got 17 million gold and 14 million iron. This is a smaller bar. I'll take it upstairs later for the mission. All right, the next logic setup we have, we'll talk about filtration. Always filter your pipes. Put 5 filters in a row, get yourself to 100% clean, and then you don't have to worry about the other 36 whatever machines in there to maintain. All you gotta do is keep these babies fed. It's simple enough. You just grab it, walk in here, stick it in, stick it in, stick it in. You cannot overfill them, so just grab a bag, fill it up. You can also take the bag, hold E, and press forward like that. These are full, so it won't do anything, but that's another way to do it. It's back in my cart. All right. That logic setup is simple. It's got a scanner, a flip hook, which takes the signal and flips it, and then the spanner shooter. If this value is anything greater than 0, this is outputting a 1, which flips and turns this to a 0, which means this does nothing. As soon as this hits 0, this is essentially a 0, which flips this to a 1, which makes that shoot out a spanner. That's the basics. This is the slightly more advanced. You can put a durability display in line before the flip hook. I don't really need it. It kind of impedes my access, which pisses me off, so I'll probably take it off. But that's basic filtration. Set that up first thing and keep your spanners filled and you'll never touch it again. And you'll be grateful. Last bit of logic is over here, and this is the device which keeps my gems compressed. I think I primed it. I don't think I did. You have to press it once when you log in. That sets the whole thing in motion. And what it does is it pauses the belt, runs the compressor, and restarts the belt. Sorry, pause there. I had to cough and have a sip of water. Now this is 3 circuits essentially that do this. I've got all of the valves. These are digital valves right here that turn off the water, which turns off this belt. The belt above the valve does not turn off because technically I guess half of it still has water. That gangs together, and then all the compressors gang together. Those are controlled by this circuit here, and we'll work backwards from the machines to show you how this works. The signal comes in here. It splits and does 2 things. First, it goes through and it delays 1-2 seconds, and then it goes through the wire and it activates the machines. The other thing it does is it splits here and it does the other thing where it flips. It turns the 1 into a 0, runs that into the belts, which turns them off. Turns off the belts first, waits 2 seconds, runs the compressor. That's this circuit. That is fed from this circuit. This circuit is basically an on-off circuit. It gets its signal from here, which is the timer. Comes in here. It does 2 things. Goes out, immediately in, and goes to our activation circuit. It also goes up here. It flips from a 1 to a 0. It waits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. Then it goes back into the stream and back to the activation circuit, which is the deactivation, which is what it does. So it triggers it, it waits 5 seconds, and then it sends a 0. Okay, everything in Hydroneer Logic works in pulses. Think of it as a pulse of data, not a state of data. It's not redstone. You're not turning on a circuit and making everything 1 or 0 and turning things on and off in between. You're sending a pulse. That pulse goes and does its thing, and then it's gone, unless you loop it around. So you send the pulse. It goes. The first pulse goes this way. The second pulse turns into a 0 and comes behind it and turns this the opposite direction, which is basically what turns the belts back on. That is all fed from a timer circuit. You trigger it once, you send 1 pulse into the network. Don't trigger it more than once or you'll just get multiple pulses running. 1 pulse, It goes down here. It does two things. It comes down, and it goes to our other circuit, and then it splits, and it runs through 30 seconds, and it comes back down and goes out again, and then it also loops back on itself again, creating an infinite timer loop. This, every 30 seconds, it sends out a 1 pulse. The 1 pulse goes to here, becomes a 1 pulse, waits 5 seconds, becomes a 0 pulse, and those pulses tell this circuit what it needs to do. And that is basically Hydroneer Logic. Works flawlessly. Preventing this belt from moving while these are coming down stops the gem from catching on the lip, which once it gets caught on the lip, it gets stuck. Once it gets stuck, all the other gems pile up, and you come back later, and you got giant stacks of gems. Which isn't terrible, see? All right. Ha-ha. And then, boom, right back into the bucket. Perfect. Runs perfectly. Now, I know you can do the same setup up here with magnets, or why use belts? I could set this whole thing up here and be the same thing. You could also do it with magnets. Magnets have a large catch area, and they're a little sloppy, and anytime you grab big clumps of things, you tend to get lag. So I try to shy away from magnets. It's just my thing. I prefer to just stop the belt. And that's logic. Cloudium chambers, I don't put very many. I have like 7 in this whole network. I've got mine here at the end of this conveyor row, which keeps the conveyors speeding up, and then they slow down as it gets to the end down there. And they are the slowest at the harvester. So as soon as it comes out of the harvester, all of the resources are then moving quicker to their destination after the harvester, which I don't know if that helps or not, but it seems logical to me. I also have a harvester Cloudium, so that's at maximum pressure at all times, which maximizes the yield. And my drills, I tend to keep a relatively medium-sized network. I don't stress over it too much. This is about as low as I'll get. 340 going into these drills. They run perfectly fine. I could get more yield out of them if I boosted this a bit, but I don't. It's one less hassle trying to fill another Cloudium chamber for. I got plenty of ore. I'm not hurting for dirt. So there's our dirt. This is Icehelm, if you haven't seen it. Hand carved with nuclear weapons for your pleasure. This is the limit of where T1 drills will mine. It's kind of an angle. These are good, and then these are good, and one step in front of this, and the T1 drills will not touch the T2 dirt. The back wall also slopes, which is why I think this side's a little narrower than this side. This is the limit of T2 drills, right here where these torches are. Past that line, T2 drills will not dent the surface, so no point. You only expose tier 3 dirt with nuclear weapons, but it gives me some room to work back here, so I like it. Plus, I was not hand digging any of this, so. Let's see, that's our drills. Got a little catwalk. The one flaw, I don't like these. These bars can sometimes slip through a crack here. Keep an eye on that. This runs flawlessly for me. I don't have any issues. But then again, I don't really go far. I've been able to go to Bridgepour. I've been able to go all the way back to Ember Cradle and then come back and everything's still running fine. But your mileage may vary. Other people have issues when they leave. The game lags out. I think if you autosave in between, that also can be a little glitchy. And you'll come back to giant piles in front of your machines. When that happens, use these buttons. Don't bother with the magnet. You're just asking for more lag. Just clear the chunks. Clear it. Clear all the dirt. Clear all that. I also do that right before I log out. Otherwise, you will always have a clog on your login. It's just if I log out with 50 pieces of iron on the way into the bucket here, Inevitably, one of them will stick when I come back in, and then I'll have to clear it, so I just clear it out. Using the escape menu option, make sure that all the bad chunks are gone. And that may help. Alright, lastly, we'll talk about manufacturing real quick. If you don't know, manufacturing is a way to increase the value of your bars. Okay? It's simply a percentage increase. There's nothing terribly complicated about it. A dagger will add 10%, a axe will add 20%, and a sword will add 30%. I don't really see any reason why you'd build anything but swords, but it's your preference. Sometimes, if the market were working, you would maybe build, I don't know. I don't know why you'd not build the 30% markup. Anyway, chop it into 3 pieces. Throw those pieces in the oven. When I throw my last piece in, I like to make sure I've got my shadow marker right where it's going to drop. And then I just stand here and I wait for a few minutes. Not even that long. The main thing is get yourself a nice ergonomically suited setup so that you can quickly go bang, 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 and then you don't have to really heat these up too much. You just have to be quick. And it ain't that hard. Whoops, I don't want the cauldron, I want the hammer. Thank you. You can just go to hell, literally. Alright, that's for getting in my way. Here we go. That sword is now worth 17.5 million. I like it. I wish we had a sword rack. That would be cool. Gold works the same way. We'll go ahead and grab ourselves a gem. It doesn't matter what kind of gem. It doesn't matter how big the gem is. It doesn't matter what type it is. It makes no difference. You just need a gem. If it's the beginning of the game, use the cheapest gem you have. Okay? The ring will give you a 10% markup. And the necklace, click, 10% markup, 20% markup. Again, I don't know why you build anything but necklaces. Just like the sword, throw it in the oven, get it nice and glowing red hot, orange hot. Depending on your skill, if you're fast, orange hot is plenty good. Red hot will give you a little more time. And there you go. That is probably a $21 million necklace. Oh yeah. There you have it. Take those, throw them on the belt, and take them to the jeweler. Well, that's going to wrap it up there. I hope that was helpful. I hope you enjoyed the setup. Maybe you learned something. Got a little info about Logic. If you do, share it with someone else. And happy mining, everybody.